Coach, with Ohio State this week, I guess I'm wondering what unique challenge might they present that you feel is going to be a challenge for your team, and maybe a focus as you prepare.
The difference between winning and losing is you see in college hockey is minute. Little things make a difference. They're an aggressive style mentality. I think Steve does a really good job of getting them to try and force you into mistakes. They're going to forecheck with two. Very aggressive. They've got some good size forwards that are going to definitely put some stress on our defensive core in the offensive zone. For us, we're still focusing a little bit on what we're trying to get done. Want us to be a little bit more aggressive at possessing some pucks and holding on to them and trying to spend a little bit more in-zone time with a puck, a little bit more creative from the blue line. And I think what they're going to bring is they're going to be hungry because they're looking for points in our league. And from top to bottom, there isn't a soft weekend when you play in-league play. And I don't think that's going to be any different. We've got to go back to just defending our home ice and hopefully get some of the guys that were just brought up back into the scoring column as far as goals. But for us, we're still focusing a little bit on what we have to do as opposed to who we're playing. But I do think Ohio State's going to come in here with an attitude that they've got to get points, and we've got to have that same attitude at defending our home ice.
Joe Plotchuk's been really quietly effective, it seems like, putting up points, being pretty good in his own end. What are you seeing out of him as a freshman that, everyone takes a little while to get used to it? How is he adjusting so far?
Really well. If you get to know Joe a little bit, you're going to see there's that fine line between confidence and arrogance. And the one thing I really appreciate about him is it's always on the confidence side. If he fails, he's okay learning from that failure, moving on and saying, hey, I can be better than what I just was. He hasn't come in and tiptoed his way into the Big Ten. He's come in and said, you know what, I want to be a player from day one. And when I was afforded the opportunity to take the job here, one of the first phone calls was to Joe. And it was, Joe, what do you think? And he just wanted to know, where do I fit in? Am I going to have the opportunity that I'm looking for? And from that moment on, there were a lot of sharks in the water trying to change Joe's mind. And the second phone call that I had with him, he says, Coach, don't worry about it. I want to be a Badger. I want to be at the University of Wisconsin. And I think from day one, he has not acted like a freshman, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's been on the ice, or even in that locker room. And so I like the mentality that he has brought to our defensive core and what he's done as a young player in this league. I think you have to respect it.
Did you, 2 months ago when he started playing, or before he started playing, did you think that this was a team that was capable of being a group that could be at the top of the defensive, rankings in the country? Or is this something that maybe you thought maybe is a little bit more than you expected out of just in terms of the way you're able to hold other teams out of the net, really?
I think probably the biggest point with that would be going back to day one when we discussed who was going to get the nod between our posts. Without that, you don't keep guys off the board. If your goaltending isn't stopping the ones that they should, and then some that they shouldn't. And between McClellan and what we've seen out of Graham recently, those guys have definitely covered up some of our early mistakes and maybe allowed some of those young guys like Joe and, the collective group of the other 7 freshmen and 4 transfers to be able to get their feet underneath them defensively and understand how important it is for them to be connected when we don't have the puck. But I think that starts between the posts. I can tell you, as I said when you first asked that question, I wasn't sure. I feel a lot better about it now because our goaltending has been what it is, and our commitment as a group has been from our end out.
Along the lines of goaltending, I assume, I won't assume, but I assume Kyle will he be back between the posts this weekend? And when you're looking at getting Graham in there, is it a matter of what are you hoping Kyle gets out of a night off? I mean, is it just watching? Is it resting? What's the approach there?
Competition it sharpens a sword a little bit, and so to know that somebody's capable right behind you, I would hope that just, I think Kyle's body of work speaks for itself. His work ethic Monday through Thursday, and his performance on Fridays, Saturdays, whenever we've played, mix in a Thursday there, he's definitely been there. So I think he feels very confident in what he's doing, and he knows his coaching staff feels the same way. But what you saw on Saturday, I think, was really good for everybody. Graham, as I stated at that time after the game, has put in a lot of work to be prepared for that opportunity. I think his team put him on an island a little too often in that game, but he stood tall and now has given us options. And, from the coaching side, you like to have options. And again, from the competitive side, I think whether Graham did what he did on that weekend, he's been, Kyle has witnessed what Graham's been doing, and even Garrity's been doing throughout their weeks of being prepared. And, I like the idea that we've got two guys that are capable of going out and showing themselves and giving us an opportunity when we do make a mistake that it doesn't end up in the back of the net.
You know any more about how Maddie's doing or how he's progressing to be able to maybe be back this weekend?
Progressing well. That's going in a good direction. We just want to make sure, again, as always, here that we're doing what's best for the athlete. And, he had a really good day today, really good day. And he was out for the entire practice. But as you know, with competition at the collegiate level, when you're going out and practicing the way that we practice and other teams practice, those things are going to be stressed out. So we would just want to he's progressing in a really good manner right now.
Is Jugnoth an injury, or was that just a kind of a let's refocus and get some more out of you last weekend?
We had some other guys that I thought had put in the work to garner the opportunity to play last weekend. And Juggy's working on his game. He is. He's a conscientious young man that, as all of them, they want to play. And we're afforded the opportunity right now as a staff to be able to give some other guys the opportunities because of their work and what they've done. And we're on a daily, and to go out and prove it. And you get an opportunity when you get in the lineup. You either keep your spot or somebody's there nipping at your heels. So it was a little bit more of that than anything.
On Saturday, Charlie got his first goal, and I know you kind of talked about sometimes that it can kind of create momentum. And I guess I'm just wondering, one, we're early in the week still, but I guess I'm wondering, have you seen any residual effect from just the psychological barrier of just getting on the board and for him?
I think he can answer that probably better than I, but from what I've witnessed, yeah, I think there's a little bit of a weight off his shoulders just from that standpoint. Smile on his face when he came into the rink yesterday and today. Work ethic, going right back to detailed in his practices. I like what his first 2 days have been, but I have to believe, and again, that's something you can probably ask Charlie, but he does seem like there's a little bit more hop in his step. And I was happy for that to happen because he's, nobody wants to be in a better spot than Charlie. And so going and playing on the wing a little bit this last weekend, I thought he went out and showed himself well.
Mike, sometimes seasons can become, a roller coaster of emotions. Obviously, that's not what, you want your guys to go through. But did you see maybe them tighten up during the last, 2 series? And how did you like how they responded from maybe going from Friday's loss into Saturday's game and getting that win?
Yeah, our season at the collegiate level is longer than almost any other sport because you've got the first half, you've got the Christmas break, you've got the second half. It's a long journey. And so there's definitely going to be peaks and valleys. And we've had some peaks. And over the last couple of weeks, we've had some valleys. I like the way our guys responded on Saturday. We had opportunities on Friday to get a lead. Outnumbered rushes, plays to be made. I thought the adjustment was the guys were out and a little bit more on point in the crispness of our moving a puck. Seeing a young man like William Whitelaw get on the inside of a defenseman as opposed to the outside. Fitzgerald making a really nice play and seeing Whitey finish. And then Whitey did what Whitey did in the second goal, where he can bring something pretty special to the table. We made some more plays on Saturday. So I've liked, as a coach, you always want a little bit more sooner than you get it. But I liked how we finished the weekend. Now, through 2 days, I've liked what it's been. But I can tell you last Thursday, we had a really good practice. And for some reason, that detail and execution didn't flow into Friday. So we've got to learn from that and just kind of continue to stay on our dailies.
Mike, you, in the wins that you guys have had, there's only been one where you haven't scored at least 3 goals. What do you feel like that says about this team offensively? Do you feel like if you get into a situation where, obviously you lost to Alaska in a 1-0 game, if you get into a tight, low-scoring game, do you feel like this team has the ability to win a 1-0 or a 2-1 game?
I do and again, I'm going to try to talk not an opinion, but facts and history. You look at the first game against Michigan in our own building, and that was a little bit of a racehorse type. You get a rush, we get a rush, and we were able to find a way to get enough to put us over the hump to win a hockey game. And then on Saturday, both teams tightened up. There wasn't as much ice. There definitely were not as many outnumbered rushes either way for us or for them, and found a way at the end of the game to win that hockey game. So, we're still learning about ourselves. You watch what happened at Michigan State, pretty tight weekend. We just didn't quite have enough. And so we've been on both sides of the coin, so hopefully we can lean on those experiences in the positive manner to get us through whatever comes this weekend.
On penalty kill, we talk about goalies a lot, but you're throwing 18 and 22 over the boards first just about every time on one of those, and we saw that a lot Saturday, obviously. What's the trust level like, and how do they gain that in being the ones that you're going to throw out there to start off a penalty kill and hopefully set a good tone?
There's two sides of that. I can tell you that they're so comfortable that I don't have to call their names. There's an expectation level and an understanding from our staff, and I want to credit the players first and foremost on doing what they've been doing, but preparation, and Todd Connaught runs our penalty kill, having those guys on point and prepared. And I think it's a bit of a badge of honor when you look at the face-off percentage of Lindmark and really the heart and courage, what it takes to kill penalties. And Horbach is that times 10. He's just that type of guy. They really take that responsibility to heart. And it has been a reason why we didn't start to leak oil, I think, on Saturday, because we went to the box 7 times. And have that not go in the back of your net just calms momentum. We were able to maintain it. And so those guys have been paramount in what starts off our penalty kill, because if we're not starting off in our zone, the team's got to come back with a good entry. And so I think those two guys have done a great job at taking that responsibility and owning it.